Welcome back to Ophthalmology for undergraduates and postgraduate beginners. In the local examination, we have already discussed about the head posture, facial symmetry and orthophoria. Now it is time to examine the visual acuity of the eye first. Already I have told visual acuity has to be examined first. If the visual acuity is really good, the problem in the eye is going to be very less. If the visual acuity is very poor, the problem is going to be very high. It is a inversely proportional or vice versa. Now we should know what is this visual acuity. There are two terminologies. One is vision. Vision is nothing but ability to see. Visual acuity means clarity or sharpness of vision. The first thing is ability to see the outside world with the eyes. The second thing is how clearly you are able to see the outside world. That is called as visual acuity. You should know the difference between the vision and visual acuity. You should also know about the definition for visual acuity. Visual acuity is defined as the resolving power of an eye to distinguish between two objects or points. Here you can see two pictures I have drawn. The first one, I have drawn two small dots at a closer distance. The second one, I have drawn two bigger dots at a farther distance. If an eye from a particular distance is able to identify the first two dots as two separate dots, then the visual acuity is far better. If an eye is not able to identify the first two dots as two separate dots, they can only identify bigger dots at a farther distance as two separate dots, then the resolving power of the eye is poor. The first thing, the visual acuity is good. The second thing, the visual acuity is poor. Based on this only, the visual acuity testing is designed. நம்பர் தெரியுதா? இப்ப உங்க இடது கண்ணை கையால மறைச்சிங்க, அப்படி மறைக்கணும். ஆமா ஆமா, அமுக்க கூடாது. கண்ணை மறைச்சுக்கணும். கண்ணு திறந்துதான் இருக்கணும். சரியா? நேரா இருக்க நம்பரை படிங்க. மேல இருக்கு. அப்புறம் 6 0 4 9 3 5 9 3 2 0 தெரியலையா? பரவாயில்ல. இப்ப இந்த கண்ணை மறைச்சிங்க. மேல இருந்து படிங்க. 2 0 5 3 6 4 4 9 5 2 For any objects to be clearly seen, it has to make an angle of 1 minute at the nodal point of the eye. The Snellen's chart is designed in such a way that each of the letters in the Snellen's chart makes an angle of 5 minutes at the nodal point of the eye. Each of the line forming each letters in the Snellen's chart will intend an angle of 1 minute at the nodal point of the eye. The topmost line in the Snellen's chart, where it is written as 60, that particular letter makes an angle of 5 minutes at the nodal point when it is at the distance of 60 meters from the eye. The bottommost line where the letters are marked as 6, that particular letter will make an angle of 5 minutes at the nodal point of the eye from a distance of 6 meters. So this is the principle based on which the Snellen's chart is designed. Snellen's chart is a chart designed for recording the distance vision or distant visual acuity. The Snellen's chart is having 7 lines. Each of the line is marked by a number. The topmost line is having a number marked as 60. The next line, it is marked as 36. Third line is marked as 24. Fourth line is marked as 18. Fifth line is marked as 12. Sixth line is marked as 9. Last line or the seventh line is marked as 6. What do you understand by this? That particular line in the Snellen's chart has to be read by a normal eye from that particular meters. The topmost line is marked as 60. That letter can be read by a normal eye from a distance of 60 meters. The bottommost line is marked as 6. The letters in the bottommost line can be read by a normal eye from a distance of 6 meters. Now let us see what are the basic requirements for testing the visual acuity. We need a Snellen's chart which should be brightly illuminated. The next most important thing is the distance between the Snellen's chart and the subject or the patient should be a minimum of 6 meters or 20 foot. You should be asking the question, why this 6 meters is taken for testing the visual acuity. Any light emerging from any object that is at a distance of 6 meters or more than that, they will be traveling in a parallel direction. They will not be divergent or convergent. The eye need not make an extra effort to see the objects. So the eyes will be relaxed. When the eyes are relaxed, the visual acuity can be recorded properly. The third most important thing in testing the visual acuity is we should test the visual acuity of each eye of the patient separately. The first eye to be tested is the right eye. The second eye to be tested is the left eye. While testing the right eye, the left eye has to be covered by an occluder or the hand like this, so that nothing is visible for the left eye. And you should consider one more thing also, the hand should not press on the eye and the eye should be open behind the cover or the hand. Then only the extra effort will not be made by a patient, the eye will be relaxed and the testing of visual acuity will be accurate. So the hand has to completely cover the eye behind the hand should be open and it should not be pressed for any reason. Visual acuity is always recorded as a fraction. It has a numerator, it has a denominator. The numerator is the distance from which the eye reads the chart. It is a testing distance. The normal testing distance is 6 meters. The denominator is the distance from which a normal eye can read the same line in the chart as read by the tested eye. What do you understand by this? Suppose I am closing my left eye and I am standing at the distance of 6 meters from the Snellen's chart and I am reading only the first line in the chart. I am not able to read the rest of the 6 lines. So, the first line is marked as 60. that should be read by a normal eye from a distance of 60 meters. But my tested eye, testing eye or tested eye reads only that particular line. It is not able to read the other lines below that. So, how to record that? That is recorded as the testing distance is 6 meters. I am able to read only the topmost line. Below that I am not able to read anything. The topmost line or letter should be read by a normal eye from a distance of 60 meters. So, the visual acuity of my right eye will be recorded as 6 by 60. Suppose I am able to read all the 7 lines. Then the testing distance will be 6. That is the numerator. The denominator will be 6 because I am able to do the same work as done by a normal eye. I am able to read up to the last line. That should be read by a normal eye from a distance of 6 meters. The same thing I have done from a distance of 6 meters. So, that should be recorded as 6 by 6. Suppose, if the visual acuity of the patient is not even 6 by 60, that is, the eye cannot read the topmost letter also from a distance of 6 meters. What we have to do next? Next is we have to reduce the distance between the chart and the subject or the patient. Now, we can either move the patient 1 meter closer to the chart, that is to 5 meters, or if the chart is movable, it can be brought 1 meter closer to the patient, that is the distance between the patient and the chart should be 5 meters. If at 5 meters the patient is able to read the topmost letter, then the patient's visual acuity is 5 by 60. If the patient is not able to read the topmost letter even at the distance of 5 by 60, then he has to move 1 more meter closer. If he is able to read the topmost letter now, then it is recorded as 4 by 60. Even if not able to do at 4 meters, go to 3 meters. If able to do, it is 3 by 60. If not, ask the patient to go closer by 1 more meter, that is 2 meters. And if he is able to read, that will be recorded as 2 by 60. Like that, we can go up to half meter from the Snellen's chart. And if at the half meter distance, patient is able to read the topmost letter, then the visual acuity is recorded as half by 60. This is how we will do it normally. Suppose the Snellen's chart is fixed to a wall and the patient is also not able to move close to the chart. What can we do now? Now we can bring our hand into use. How can we bring our hand into use? Our hand is approximately equal to the size of the topmost letter in the Snellen's chart. If the patient is not able to read the topmost line in the Snellen's chart, now what we can do is we can go and stand in front of the patient at a distance of 5 meters and show him any number of fingers in the hand like this. I can show like this and ask the patient how many fingers are shown by me. If the patient says I am showing 2 fingers, you can record it as 5 by 60. Suppose the patient is not able to do at 5 meters, I can move another meter closer to the patient and I can show any number of fingers now. I can show like this and ask the patient how many fingers I am showing. The patient says it is 1 finger. I am standing at a distance of 4 meters. Then the visual acuity is recorded as 4 by 60. Like that, we can go up to half meter from the patient and show any number of fingers in our hand to ask the patient, and if the patient correctly says the number of fingers, we can record the visual acuity as half by 60. But even at a distance of half meter, the patient is not able to count our fingers properly. Next, what we should do? If the patient is not able to count the number of fingers shown by us, even at a distance of half meter, then we have to go close to the face of the patient and show him any numbers of fingers in front of him and ask him how many fingers are shown by you or me. The patient says there are 4 fingers. I am showing 4 fingers to the patient. If the patient says there are 4 fingers, how we can record this? So far, we have recorded the visual acuity only in fraction. But up to half by 60 only we can do like that. After that, we have to record the counting of fingers close to the face as CF. So expansion for this is counting of fingers close to the face. Suppose the patient is not able to count the fingers even close to the face. Now what we should do? Now you can just like that move your hand in front of the patient's eye. You should not tell the patient that you are moving your hand in front of the patient's eye. You should ask the patient what is visible to you. If the patient says something is moving in front of the eye to and fro, then the visual acuity is recorded as hand movements. Visual acuity is recorded as hand movements. Suppose the patient is not able to tell something is moving in front of his eyes. What next we should do? Now you should take your torchlight. Take your torchlight and you keep the torchlight in front of the patient's eye and silently switch on the torchlight. Silently switch on the torchlight so that the patient does not hear any sound of switching on this torchlight. You throw the light on the patient's eye and ask the patient what you are seeing. You should not ask whether you are able to see the light or not. If you ask such a question to the patient, most of our patients will never say no. They always say, I am able to see. You should throw the light on the patient's eye and ask him only what you are seeing. The patient says, I am seeing some light. Then the visual acuity is recorded as perception of light. Perception of light. Suppose you are throwing light on the patient's eye, the patient is not able to appreciate even that light. The patient says, everything is dark, nothing is visible to me. Then, how to record the visual acuity? You should record it as perception of light. Negative or absent. Negative or absent. This is how visual acuity should be recorded. Visual acuity will be recorded as only one of these numbers. It can be 6 by 6, it can be 6 by 9, it can be 6 by 12, it can be 6 by 18, 6 by 24, 6 by 36, 6 by 60, 5 by 60, 4 by 60, 3 by 60, 2 by 60, 1 by 60, half by 60, CF, hand movement, perception of light, no perception of light. Only this much or one of this only will be the visual acuity of an eye. If you are going to write any other visual acuity against the eye, then that will be definitely be wrong. For example, recording visual acuity as 3 by 24, 2 by 36 are all wrong. and it is totally observed, and you deserve to be failed in examination. So I tell visual acuity is the most important part of an examination. We have to do it properly. Let us stop here. We will see one more structure in the next video. Thank you.